So let's call the meeting to order. then.
Okay, Mr. Jones, call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start with the open public. You have it right there with the statement, announcement. Please be advised that the notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act have been complied with and satisfied in that the annual notice, which gave sufficient notice of the time and place and conduct of all public meetings of the Ethics Board of the City of New Brunswick, has been filed with the City Clerk, has been placed on an appropriate bulletin board in City Hall, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper for the City of New Brunswick, namely the Home News Tribune. Going to do a roll call. Barbara Blackwell.
Here.
Anthony Jones here. Angel Roman, he is unable to attend the meeting. Reverend Carrington.
Here.
Donna Pinkavich.
Here.
Monica Reyes.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. At this point, we're going to elect a temporary chair by voice of vote, nomination of chair for 2025. Temporary chair, sorry.
I nominate you for the temporary chair.
I would like to nominate Reverend Carrington.
As a temporary chair?
No, permanent, but right now we're doing temporary.
Why don't we do the temporary, and
Okay.
therefore you don't have to make any decision, just name me the temporary chair.
Oh, you're the
Okay,
temporary chair.
yes, yes.
So I need a motion for a temporary chair.
I nominate
Michelle Donato.
Michelle Donato as the temporary chair.
Okay, all those in favor, but we'll do a roll call vote?
No, you don't need to.
No? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Okay, so the first thing we will do then is to have a nomination for the chair of the board.
I nominate Tony.
I nominate Reverend Carrington.
I was going to second that nomination of Tony.
I would like to do Okay, I'll take it. I accept it. Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Is now all in your hands.
Okay. I need a little guidance because I'm kind of new with that. Okay, so, he's already.
He's been sworn in, so he's done, we get
Yeah, he's
on
the
his
same
officership, just to
Yeah.
the term.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so now we need a nomination for vice chair for 2025. Do you have any nominations?
I nominate Donna to be
Okay.
vice chair.
I'll second that. Oh, sorry, second.
Okay.
Okay, accept? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So,
Now, do you appoint a board secretary? Someone, does somebody take minutes?
Usually the board attorneys, from my knowledge, I don't think they have a board secretary.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll be glad to do so. Okay.
Okay.
Any other positions then, none others to be?
None of them.
Excellent. Okay.
All right, so now we're going to go to old business. Do we have any old business to bring up?
It's been very long.
No. Okay. All right, so
The other
the,
thing I want to say is I really appreciate Mr. Drost.
oh,
And I think the board did too, so I just want to acknowledge that, you know.
sorry.
He's a very fine gentleman.
Yes.
He's a very good attorney.
He did an excellent job.
Just
Wanted to acknowledge that for the record.
I concur.
Very nice.
I feel honored to step, well, I'm not quite, I haven't been appointed yet, so.
Okay, so we're going to move on. So no other old business. We're going to move on to new business. I need a motion to approve the appointment of Michelle Donato as the Ethics Board Attorney.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment.
Okay?
I
Have a
second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, thank you.
There has been I believe a complaint I don't know what it's considered. Is it considered a complaint or an ethics topic brought up? And we're going to need a subcommittee formed for, complaint from Mr. Cradaville towards council member Suzanne Sikora Ludwig. So we need a subcommittee. I'm going to, I guess the word is recuse myself because I am a personal friend. I worked with her husband for years, so I don't think I would be wise to be on that committee myself, but just wanted to let that be known.
I may have to recuse myself only because she's a neighbor right across the street, so I don't know.
I would say yes. Anything within 200 feet of where you live would,
I could throw a
under
stone.
the general provisions for conflict of interest is kind of like what we call bright line.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I personally don't know her, but I don't know if I need to recuse myself because my brother-in-law is part of the city council as well.
Okay. Well, that leaves us.
So say which one.
I think we have our subcommittee.
Then there you go.
Okay.
Along with the city attorney, correct? The
The
three?
ethics attorney will be
Court.
advisory to the subcommittee.
Okay.
Is the way I understand it.
And is two enough for that committee?
Yes, that's all. it
Yes,
is.
that's all that it needs.
Okay.
So, you know, you have these rules that were apparently adopted many years ago, and I think 2014, these rules were adopted. And I believe that Mr. William Hamilton was the city attorney at that point in time, and I did have an opportunity to speak to Peter about his, his role here and get some of the information about the background. And so he just said that these rules, as written, were provided to him when he became the attorney. And so, we'll follow these rules, and it's a very simple procedure. You're a little bit out of sync on the time, and I think it's because this is somewhat of an unusual situation in that the individual who is charged also has certain other legal proceedings pending. And so, ordinarily you wouldn't want to complicate whatever legal position that she stands in with your investigation as to whether or not she violated the code of ethics. So I think it's been held for that reason because of the pending proceedings, and I understand that proceedings have not yet been resolved.
That and Mr. Joseph's retirement.
And Mr. Joe's retired, yes.
So does that mean we don't proceed right now?
I would like to take the opportunity to look at some of the case law on this topic, but if there is any, and I did have an opportunity to review the complaint that was filed before this, for you to consider in this matter. And I'm not sure, it seems that there could definitely be impairment of her ability to defend herself against the charges that are against her in other proceedings. So I think, ordinarily if someone's charged with something, they have the right to defend themselves.
Right.
She won't be able to defend herself against these charges while there is an unresolved quasi-criminal charges against her. I just think it would be a conflict for her, and I think it may really pose some constitutional issues that I don't think you want even try to offend. So I will make appropriate inquiries, and I'm not sure this has ever happened before a Board of Ethics to see how it works, but it just seems to make logical sense that someone cannot defend themselves against ethics charges because they have criminal charges and they might incriminate themselves in some way. So that would be my primary concern. So I will investigate that. In the meantime, we know that we have the two of you who will be serving on that committee, and I will stay in touch with you, the two of you.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is, maybe we could do this evening or sometime thereafter, is to make sure, I'm sure that most of you communicate by email.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I just want to warn you that if you do communicate as a group by email, you do not want to, you cannot have you can have meetings, digital meetings, without meeting the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. That covers that. So you can't have a meeting by, emails, etc. So you'd always want to keep it, just the two of you, you're not a quorum, you cannot make a decision of the entire board. So I'll do a little bit of investigation, and then can I perhaps through your office here, have someone accumulate all the email addresses?
I will
I'll
do
be able
that.
to communicate with you and I'll let you know what's going on. And once her criminal charges are resolved, then you'll be able to then make a decision. What I will do in the meantime is I will send you a copy of the complaint that was filed here. Okay, so that at least you'll have it, you'll be prepared to know what it is. I just, at this point, am very, very reluctant to advise you that you should be considering these charges in light of the status of this case.
Okay.
So do we need a motion to table? No, at this point.
No, you don't need to do anything. There's
Okay.
really no decision, because first, the decision would come from the two subcommittee members who then make a recommendation to this board, and at that point, so I'm going to find out where the legal proceedings stand. The two of you will have a complaint. You'll be able to, discuss it with me, decide what recommendations you would make once we get past the stage of knowing that her criminal proceedings, or whatever, quasi-criminal, I guess they are, proceedings have been resolved. Okay?
Makes sense.
So the next part of the new business is we need to just set up a 2025 meeting schedule. We meet, is it every other month? I forget. You probably know. Was it quarterly? Wasn't it every 2 months or 3 months?
I think it's when we receive the complaint.
That's all.
Okay. All right.
But
So I don't know that we can set a schedule until we know,
Just that, okay.
yeah.
So then the city attorney could send us an email letting us know when the next meeting is, once we know the status of
Right, well,
everything.
Mr. Donato could do that as well, saying there's a need for a meeting. My office has always lent administrative support to the ethics board with scheduling meetings and making sure the clerk publishes the notice, et cetera. So that's not a problem. Yeah, that's a standard line item on the agenda about meetings in the future. So I think it probably is premature. And I know from my review of the history, this board has not met last year at all because there were no matters for it to adjudicate.
No, we didn't.
We did, we had one.
You had a reorganization or?
No.
No.
It was later in the year, too.
It was later in the year, we had one
August.
case.
Oh, okay, all right, I stand corrected. I thought-
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Okay, just goes to show you I don't come to these meetings.
So if in the past, you've set up some kind of regularly scheduled meetings, which you might not actually hold due to lack of business, the best way to do it is to set up a schedule, because then you just publish the Open Public Meetings Act notice for all of those meetings, and then if you have lack of business, you just cancel the meeting. So it just makes it easier. You don't have to go through the process of advertising every single time you decide to have a meeting. And if you did need special meetings, you could add that to that. But there's, I think you mentioned that it may have been every other month that you had meetings.
At some point, it may have been, I don't think it was more frequently than every other month.
Yeah, no.
So,
Okay.
and then when there wasn't business, we would just cancel the meeting.
Right. And this particular day, I think this is what, the third Thursday?
Right.
This is a good night for me. I don't have any other evening meetings. So I have Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but not Thursday.
If Ms. Donato wants to propose a meeting schedule, we could circulate it, for purposes of adoption at another meeting, or you could look at some dates right now and you could make a motion and then we could just advertise it and going forward.
If you look at, we're looking at the third Thursday.
You want to look at your schedules now.
Yeah.
Probably not a bad idea to schedule.
Just do it.
Meetings every other month, so we have something
No.
advertised.
We even have it on the agenda to
There you go.
set it up, so we're right
Well,
on.
everybody's busy, and that would certainly,
So the third Thursday in, if we do every other month, would be March 20th.
The third, did you say third Thursday
Yeah.
of the month? That's fine.
And then May 15th. And July,
I think July, August would probably be an off session like everything else. You know, that's.
A lot of boards do that.
okay, that's
No,
good.
no July or August, so then you just go skip to September.
And then that'd be September 18th would be the third Thursday.
And November would fall into conflict, if you did the third, would fall into conflict with the annual League of Municipalities Convention.
Yeah.
Most boards do not hold meetings that time,
right, that's correct.
Okay.
so
So then we would not meet.
What about the second and Thursday in November then?
you do that.
Which would be November 13th?
November 13th.
Second is the 13th if you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I apologize, I heard we're February 20th, and then we'll do March, April, and May, the third Thursdays.
I have March 20th,
Okay.
May 15th, September 18th, November 13th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
At 6 PM?
6 PM.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other new business? Anyone else want to?
You know, adopt that.
You'd like to make a motion?
I'm sorry.
Make a motion to approve that meeting schedule.
Right.
Could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting schedule for 2025.
Second, anybody?
I'll second. She'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
Okay. Okay, now, you do have a discussion item, and this, I've been representing mostly land use boards, planning and zoning boards for many, many years, historic preservation commissions. And, you know, it's always good to have a set of rules that you use as guidance. You know, filling in the blanks, because the ordinance is broad and gives you the opportunity to really manage your business efficiently and uniformly as you choose. So I sometimes just like to say, once a year, a lot of my boards used to go over their rules of procedure. And if you find something in it that no longer is desirable, that you don't think is workable, you can change it. That way everybody has the same set of rules and know what they are, the public knows what they are, you know what they are, and you can update them. So if you'd like to do that over, I don't know if you have them, if you do not, I will make certain to email everybody a copy of these rules, and I will very clearly lay out in my email not to reply all, because replying all then triggers the possibility of your having a digital meeting that hasn't been notified properly. So, and then you can look at it and say, gee, we never did this way, I don't think this works, let's change it. And that's, you know, that's a good way to proceed, and plus it gets you acquainted with what your own rules provide.
Okay,
Thank you.
that sounds good.
So,
Yeah, I'm probably haven't, but they're buried. I said, I'm sure I haven't, but they're probably buried somewhere.
I'll resend them back out.
That sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there any other new business to bring up? Nothing? Okay, we'll move on to, at this point, public comment. Mr. Cradaville?
Good evening, board members. Charlie Cradaville, New Brunswick Today. want to say it's good to see the Ethics Board back in action in public. Unfortunately, I feel like you've already failed me. I filed my complaint on August the 1st, and the bylaws are pretty clear that you're supposed to take action swiftly, and that did not happen. I understand there's reasons being put forth for why it didn't happen, but what I will say is that, for the record, the board held no meetings in 2023. The most recent matter concluded, 2024. The most recent matter concluded in October 2023, and there's no rule that says you can't have a meeting to reorganize yourself, to make sure you've got proper counsel, to launch your own investigations, or make changes to your rather old procedures that you have in place. All those things could have been being done. There could have been a schedule of public meetings. The board could have been meeting, and that way when Mr. Jost retired, it wouldn't have taken so long to get the wheels in motion to replace him. And I feel it's really unfortunate that this board has allowed itself to become dormant and basically non-functioning. And I think we deserve better in New Brunswick. Obviously, we have ethical issues, and this board has the power to investigate those ethical issues. You could do an audit of the financial disclosure forms that are being filed by our officials, and you could launch investigations when you find something that doesn't make sense. But unfortunately, for the past decade, the only complaints that this board has investigated are complaints that I've brought to the board. And so I'm glad that you are going to eventually address this very important complaint against one of the highest ranking officials in our government. But the response time has been very poor. Again, August 1st was when the complaint was filed, and we're here now in January, only reorganizing the board and appointing the subcommittee. And it appears that there may be other things keeping the brakes on my complaint. For what it's worth, I don't think there's a reason to delay further, and I ask that the board move swiftly with addressing this complaint. This person is still in office, and they have not been held accountable for their violations of the local government ethics law. Whether or not they're also being held accountable for violations of the Motor Vehicle Code Title 39 is a separate question that is being addressed in the proper venue. This is the proper venue to address the ethics violations that I clearly laid out for you, and I do want to say that I'm committed to seeing this through to the end, and I'm willing to help with your investigation. If there's anything I can do to assist in terms of providing video evidence or other evidence to clarify my complaint or expound upon it, I'm here at your service to help. But at this point, I do feel like you've already failed me, and I hope that you can turn the page and correct course and step into action, because we need an ethics board that's not going to be dormant and just wait for one person to file a complaint. But you should be active. You should be consistently expressing to the city government best practices for ethics, and when you find they're not being followed and the law is being broken, you should be launching your own investigations, and maybe then I'll just be sitting back with my camera and recording the activity. But this was a pretty egregious one, so I brought it to your attention, and I hope you'll appropriately address the concerns that I complained about. That's all for today.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, anybody else?
I would just like to note that Mr. Jost, I believe it was like about the third week of November, because I remember it was during the annual convention in Atlantic City, that he said that he was going to be notifying, that he was going to retire. So it wasn't, they didn't really delay with that. It was just, so. But at any rate, I will be reviewing your code of ethics. The code of ethics comes through the state law, the local government ethics law, and so there's a state agency that also handles ethics issues if there is not a local board of ethics. So I'll review them and make certain that you can take appropriate action as you think necessary to perform your obligations under the state and the local law as implemented in New Brunswick. A lot of communities don't have a local ethics board. It's not mandated, it's only discretionary.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anything else to bring up? I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Thank you so much, it was very nice to meet you.
Yeah, very nice
Very
meeting you.
nice.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Look forward